Hi, and welcome to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation focused on youth mental health. Before we begin today's episode, I just wanted to let you all know that all content that is found in our podcast is created for informational purposes only. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or therapy. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition, and never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard in this podcast. Thank you so much, and without further ado, let's get started.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to another podcast episode where today we'll be talking about how to make friends when you're starting a new chapter in your life. My name is Krupa, and I'm with Mithila, and we'll be talking about this a lot since I've just graduated high school and Mithila is still in high school, so we have a ton of experience on moving schools a little bit and just, like having to make friends all the time and different activities and hobbies. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about was social media. So, for me at least, I love using social media to find people with similar interests and hobbies. Like, for example, I love volleyball, so I tend to follow like a lot of accounts of like really famous volleyball players or clubs that I have been a part of or just like want to watch. And through that, it's really awesome to just see people who love the same things I do. And I think through that, not only have I met people, but I've also gotten a lot closer with people that I already knew because I didn't know they had these interests. And it's just a really cool place to kind of like discover new things and connect with people on some things that they might not mention in person.
I think social media can also make it easier for people to reach out to others, considering some people have trouble talking to new people in person. Social media can make it really easy for you to first figure out what types of people have, like you said, similar interests, which makes it a lot easier for you to connect with them and talk with them through certain social media platforms. One other thing is also a good way to make new friends is going to certain social places. Some social places include like going to the gym, going to a park, even just like going outside anywhere where you have the opportunity to talk to new people.
Yeah, and I think adding on to that, you'll kind of find out that, especially if you're starting off in like a whole new place, if you're moving or anything like that, every place has like heavily frequented like locations. So for us, like a lot of high schoolers, we go to the library to study or local coffee shops or like Panera. And like Mithila was saying, like the gym is also a really good way because then I guess you're also fitting in like your interests a little bit and plus, like, it's really important, I think, to find places that are frequented, like, for your age group. So, us as teenagers, we're not probably going to be hanging out at the same places that our parents might be, or anyone in that kind of range, right? So, I think, like, one of the best ways to make friends is, like, make yourself comfortable with these areas that you know people around your age at least will be. And then over time, you can kind of build that confidence to talk to someone or if someone comes up to you, you're opening yourself up to that possibility. But another thing with like opening yourself up to new things is you should stay open to starting new activities when you're feeling like you don't have a lot of new friends because a big part of starting a new chapter in your life is starting new things. And that includes new hobbies or activities. Mithila, have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say around the same thing, kind of just like you could also like do small things like sign up for classes, like I don't know, dance classes, cooking classes, just anything that you might find fun or interesting. Cause I think that's definitely like the easiest way for you to meet new people. And it also is like a stress-free environment. Um, like you said, it's really important to like be around people your age, especially since we're pretty young. Um, but like some other examples could be like fun examples could be like going karaoke, like or ice skating or roller skating, just simple things like that.
Yeah, totally. And another thing I wanted to add is that doesn't mean that you're like throwing away all the things you used to love to do. It's just that Like discovering new things fits in so well with starting a new chapter in your life. Like you're kind of discovering yourself in a way, but it's also totally fine to just continue your old activities. Like I would say one big thing is if you're moving to a new school or you're moving to a new place, think about if you were to kind of discover a new community using an activity you already love to do, that's awesome. So if you love a certain sport or you love doing a certain activity like going to the gym, if that was something you used to do all the time, like keep doing that. And that way you can also discover a whole new community that's kind of adding on to the one you already have.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you need to be like by starting a new chapter doesn't necessarily mean you have to just get rid of all of your previous hobbies and what you liked before and just start a completely new thing. It just means that instead of sticking by the maybe the few things that you focused on now, maybe in the future you could add hobbies or add new things. Like it's important that you don't I mean it doesn't mean you have to like completely lose everything that you had before. Another thing that I think especially when if you're like moving into a new place or not even just moving into a new place if you haven't already been doing this, but you could be volunteering or signing up for local events, especially ones that kind of relate to things that you're to like things that you're passionate about or things that you love, because that's a really, really good way to connect with people that also feel that like strongly about the same thing that you're volunteering for.
Yeah, totally. And adding on to that, I feel like there's a lot of avenues to make friends that we don't really explore at all. Like signing up for local events and volunteering is probably nothing that you would think about until you're feeling like kind of lonely and you feel like you need to be creative with like ways to make friends. But another thing that kind of fits into that category, I would say, is connecting with neighbors and coworkers. Because I feel like even if no changes have been made to your life, it's not often that we make that kind of effort. But especially if you have a new chapter of your life starting, it could be a really great way to not feel so alone because these people have already been surrounding you. Or if they're new neighbors, new coworkers, and new peers, it's also a great idea to kind of use them as a way to make friends too. So let's say you're entering a new job, right? A really awesome thing could be to invite your coworkers out or something like that. Or if you're moving to a new place, it's always nice to throw like a housewarming party or something really sweet like that, right? Or a new school, that might just be as simple as starting to make friends in your classes or finding a group to sit with at lunch.
Yeah, especially since you're either working with these people or you're like surrounded by these people every day, whether you already interact with them a lot, maybe you wave to them once or twice when you leave your house or whatever, or even at work, it strengthens your ties to the community that you're around and it kind of widens or like broadens your support network. And I think if you're already surrounded by these people, it's like, why not make an effort to try and get closer with them, right? But also, like, especially for your coworkers, I feel like it's important to be closer with these people if you're consistently working with them like every day.
Yeah, totally. And I think like a big theme of what we're talking about is we're trying to make friends for a reason, right? Like we're trying to make friends because in a new environment, you feel lonely. And that's such a normal feeling. But I think a big thing that we also want to talk about, even though we're talking about all whatever, like these techniques, is that making friends takes a lot of time. There's really like no I mean, sometimes there are, but it's really hard to have like instant friendships. And we shouldn't really expect that from like the first interactions with like random people we'll meet, right? Like it's okay to kind of understand that it's going to take a minute.
Yeah, I think some people when they are first starting or making new friends or meeting new people, they immediately try to rush the process. But making new friends or just any relationship for that matter is it you need to build trust. You need to it takes a while for you to have a deep relationship. So it's not perfect at the start or if you're not immediately like best friends. Like that doesn't matter, obviously. You need to give it time to get comfortable, basically.
Yeah, totally. I think just like starting to end it off a little after talking about all these different methods to make friends, it's so important to understand that just like being alone is kind of just part of the process. I feel like there has to be an understanding that no matter what's going on right now, no matter how you feel, eventually those friendships will be made. So even if things feel a little tough right now, or you feel like they will in the future, honestly, long term, there's just no need to stress because a lot of these things happen naturally. So, just to kind of like conclude, we wanted to say just don't lose sight of the things that you love and just being yourself because those will attract the friends that are best for you. Starting a new chapter is kind of all about taking this like old version of yourself and then bringing that to a new place and having new risks. So it's just all about finding new things and it can be one of the best parts of your life. All right. So thank you guys so much for another podcast episode and we'll see you guys next time.
You are listening to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation. As part of our youth series, we will be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure to continue to check those out. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you so much for listening.